They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give themselves unto me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnaces of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor shall I clad them, and with the mightiest guns will they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They will have tactics, strategies, and machines that no foe can best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are the defenders of humanity. They are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. Quote, the Emperor of Mankind at the beginning of the Great Crusade. Welcome, neophytes and loyal citizens of the Imperium. Today we will talk about what a Space Marine is. Please note that this is for the Space Marine page on the Games Workshop Warhammer website. Space Marines are the Emperor's angels of death. Super soldiers genetically altered and biologically augmented to go beyond anything a normal mortal can. And today we will talk about what an Astartes is and the more commonly seen chapters. Recruitment for an Astartes is done through a series of trials that are more often than not exceptionally lethal, ensuring that only the strongest survive to become Astartes. Space Marines are implanted with 17 organs in order to become the superhumans that they are. These organs are derived from the genetics of their Primarchs. Space Marines are not entirely bioengineered like their Primarch fathers, but are recruited from children who spend their lives training and undergoing biological augmentation and genetic alteration to become a Space Marine. What comes out on the other side can hardly be considered human. Primarchs are the 20, 21, 19, 18 handcrafted sons of the Emperor using his own genetics. They are the 10-foot-tall sons of God at the peak of human evolution and bioengineering. They were made under Mount Everest on Terra before being scattered across the galaxy by the four Chaos Gods. Half of them eventually turned traitor during the Civil War called the Horus Heresy, and half of all Astartes turned traitor along with them. But those are stories for another day. Each of the 9 loyalist Primarchs had a legion of Space Marines that was derived from their genetics. After the Horus Heresy, the legions of the loyalist Primarchs are split into chapters of 1,000 Marines each, to ensure that such a rebellion could never happen again. Before we discuss the different chapters, however, we should talk about their war gear. Space Marine chapters have quite the armory and variety of tools of death available to them. From power armor to gravity weapons to flying tanks to walking coffins, they are equipped to handle almost anything this wretched galaxy can throw at them. First and foremost, we have the Bolter, one of the most iconic and recognizable Space Marine weapons. These are the standard issue weapons that every Marine starts with. They fire soda can-sized unguided rockets that detonate after embedding themselves into a target, causing them to explode from the inside. Standard bolt rifles have an optimal range of around 100 meters or 300 freedom units, but any good shots can easily outdo that range. There's also the Storm Bolter, that's just 2 bolters strapped together, and the Heavy Bolter, that's a bolter machine gun, as well as the Bolt Pistol, a one-handed version with a smaller magazine and shorter range. There's many other sub-variations, but all that's important is that you know what a bolter is and the devastation they can cause. There's also plasma weaponry, as in the name they use plasma blasts to evaporate enemies, and while very effective against armored targets, they also have more limited range and are prone to overheating. There's also melta weapons, which are like flamers, but instead of being good for burning through hordes, they are so concentrated in their firepower that they melt through even the thickest of armored targets. Despite the fact that they made them seem weak in the last episode, the Astartes do use las weaponry. Not pistols or rifles, but instead cannons. Cannons so large that they have to be either mounted by a tripod or shoulder mounted by an Astartes. For other more general weapons, we have rocket launchers, flamethrowers, and grenade launchers. All standard weapons that most armies in the Imperium use, but Space Marine versions are much larger and more destructive. It's at this point I would like to nerd out about my favorite weapon in the Astartes arsenal, the Gravitron gun. A gun that uses the forces of gravity as a weapon of mass destruction. While not having the best range, it makes up for it in sheer devastation, as it uses the enemy's own mass to crush them. Of course, we can't talk about the guns without talking about the melee weapons. Swords, knives, hammers, and chainsaws. No matter the enemy, the Emperor's Angels are equipped to tear through almost anything in close combat. Hand-to-hand weapons tend to fall into 2 categories for Space Marines: power weapons and chain weapons. Chain weapons are chainsaw weapons that use diamond-tipped adamantine to tear through almost anything. Power weapons have a power field around them that deletes the atoms that they come into contact with, allowing it to slice through enemies as if they weren't even there. For armor, there's 4 major kinds that you can find in modern-day chapters. There's Tacticus armor, the most common and your standard issue. Good all around, but nothing entirely special about it. There's Gravitas armor, heavy and slow but making up for it in its capacity to carry much heavier weaponry. There's Phobos armor, a lighter armor good for stealth and speed, often used by snipers and scouts. And finally there's the Terminator armor, large, slow, equipped with teleport beacons, and able to one-hand the largest weaponry at an Astartes' disposal. These hulking suits of war are reserved for veterans of the first company of each chapter. Chapters being military organizations means that they have ranks and an order of command. Modern-day chapters follow the Codex Astartes, a book written by the Primarch of the Ultramarines, Rabute Guilliman. This book was written and the rules enacted so that the Horus heresy from 10,000 years ago could never repeat, and no one person had the power to cripple the Imperium. As established before, chapters have a 1,000 marine limit. Each one is organized into 10 companies of 100 marines each, with side branches for each special department. The first company is always the elite and usually equipped with Terminator armor, while the 10th company is always scouts or neophytes. Neophytes are space marines who don't have the final cybernetic implant that allows them to wear their power armor. There's 4 special branches for each chapter that go alongside with the main combat force. There's the apothecaries, medics charged with the physical health of their brothers and the extraction of gene seed and progenoid glands after death. These warriors in white would cut through an entire horde just to reach their brothers and transfuse the last drops of their own blood into them if that meant it could save them. There's the chaplaincy, warrior priests whose job it is to ensure the spiritual well-being of their brothers, making sure they stay devoted to the emperor and ensuring there is no corruption among their ranks. These Astartes also have the authority to execute their brethren for treason and heresy if need be. There's librarius, the psychers of the Marines who are charged with keeping the chapter's history. Every aspirant or neophyte who shows any psychic potential is going to become a librarian. Librarians are some of the most powerful psychers in all of the Imperium. As such, they also have the most willpower in the Imperium, as using psychic powers makes them prime targets for the infernal entities of the warp. And finally, there's the Tech Marines, the engineers and maintenance of the chapter, making sure all of the war gear is functioning at peak efficiency throughout the chapter. These Marines are actually shipped off to Mars to receive their training, as they are trained by the Mechanicus themselves. This sometimes leads to them being viewed with suspicion by their brothers, with many in Astartes questioning if they are loyal to the chapter or the Mechanicus first. In every Astartes chapter, there are those who are too injured to continue fighting, heroes who fall in battle. How do we honor them? By sticking them in a giant robot with a life support coffin and sending them back into the enemies of man. Dreadnoughts are the heroes of the Space Marines given new life. In their new forms, they can fight for almost forever. They are kept asleep when not needed, as the psychological effects of living in a life support box are not good. Some are used to help teach new recruits, some are used as last resort weapons, and in general they are some of the biggest and strongest things in the Astartes arsenal. I would be lax in my duties if I did not mention the vehicles of the Astartes. Belisarius Cawl has certainly outdone himself with these latest Primaris designs, as most new vehicles feature anti-grav tech to fly so that the terrain can be ignored. There's also troop transports like the Land Raider and airships like the ever so popular Thunderhawk and Stormbird. It would be remiss to talk about everything that makes up a chapter without talking about some of the chapters themselves. We will discuss them in order of their legion along with any popular successors. Of Loyalist chapters, we'll start with the successors of the First Legion, the Dark Angels. The Dark Angels are the son of the Lion, or the Primarch Lion L. Johnson. As of time of recording, he is one of the only 2 Loyalist Primarchs to have returned to us in the modern day. They are now a fleet-based chapter around their custom flagship called the Rock. It was the largest surviving chunk of their homeworld after it was destroyed, rebuilt as the flagship for their fleet. Their colors are green, white, and gold, and their sigil is a sword between a pair of angel wings. The chapter uses a lot of night-themed iconography and design, as well as structuring within their chapter. They have spent the last 10,000 years hunting for traitors from the Horus heresy in secret. In recent times, the Lion has been forgiving his fallen sons, so long as they remain untainted by chaos. Their chapter master is Azrael, who's not entirely happy that he's fighting alongside those he once hunted. The 5th Legion are the White Scars, a chapter of speed lovers. The White Scars are the son of the Great Khan, or Jagatai Khan. Their homeworld is the plains world of Jagoras. The White Scars, as their name implies, have white armor with red and yellow highlights. Their symbol is a yellow lightning bolt surrounded in red. The name White Scar comes from a tradition within the chapter, where to show that they're all equals, they have a scar over one eye. The White Scars are all about speed. They use bikes and hit-and-run tactics to maximum effect. They have the nickname the Laughing Killers because they're often laughing in the battlefield, jovial as they decapitate their enemies at high speeds. By the name the Great Khan, some of you have deduced that there is Mongol inspiration, and you are entirely correct. Think the Mongol Empire led by Genghis Khan, and you're on the right track. Well, it seems like there's little to talk about. They prefer it that way. They keep their cards close to their chests so that their enemies never know what to expect. Up next is the 6th Legion, the Space Wolves. Wolf. Wolf, wolf. Wolf, 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 wolf. The Space Wolves. Primarch is Leman Russ, the Emperor's executioner. Their homeworld is the icy death world of Fenris. Their colors are light blue with yellow and red details. Their symbol is a wolf's head. It's not hard to figure what the Space Wolves deal. They're space Vikings, and they love wolves. They have wolf vehicles, and wolf dreadnoughts, and wolves they bring into the front lines, and they have a curse that turns them into werewolves. They go so hard into the Viking bit that they made a poison strong enough to get Astartes drunk. They love just getting in there with their axes and hacking away at the enemy. The person I feel is most important in their chapter is Bjorn the Fell-Handed, the oldest dreadnought in the galaxy. Bjorn is just itching to get back into the fray and stop telling stories to new recruits once in a while. While he dislikes his position, his wisdom has proven invaluable when he is awoken for actual combat. The 7th Legion, the Imperial Fists. The Last Bastion, the Defenders of Terra. The Primarch of the Imperial Fists is Rogel Dorn, the Praetorian of Terra. They're a fleet-based chapter with a gigantic moving station called the Phalanx that acts as their flagship. Their colors are yellow with black and red detailing. Their sigil is a closed armored fist. The Imperial Fists are the defenders. They create massive fortresses in record time and hold the line. To them, the best offense is a good defense. They are often assigned to protect certain individuals and can often be seen on Terra. They are exceptionally hardy and hold their positions till their dying breath. The famous successor of the Imperial Fists are the Black Templars. The Black Templars are a fleet-based chapter that found a loophole in the 1,000 Marine limit set by the Codex Astartes. Basically, so long as the entire chapter is on Crusade, there's no limit to how many new recruits there can be, as Space Marines will keep dying on Crusade. The way they stay unified is each group of 1,000 Marines is led by a Marshal, with the High Marshal leading the Black Templars as a whole. They're one of the few Space Marine chapters that believe that the Emperor is a god and, as such, hate Psykers of any kind, viewing them all as witches. The current High Marshal is Helbrecht, who could really use a hand these days. The 9th Legion, the Blood Angels, my home chapter and the defenders of the Red Tear. The Primarch of the Blood Angels is Sanguinius, the Great Angel. He died during the Siege of Terra 10,000 years ago. The home world of the chapter is a little unique. It's a desert world with 2 desert death world moons orbiting it. The planet has always been a desert hellscape, but the moons used to be paradises full of life before a mythical war so long ago that it's been all but forgotten. The recruits are taken from both moons down to the planet to become Space Marines. The Blood Angels' colors are red with gold and black detailing. Their symbol is a drop of blood between a pair of angel wings. The Blood Angels bear 2 curses that permeate their entire culture. Firstly, they have the Red Thirst, giving them an everlasting thirst for blood. Any blood will do, but human is preferred. The second is the Black Rage, a psychic imprint on their gene seed that during times of heightened stress can cause the Marine to hallucinate that they are fighting Horus during the Siege of Terra 10,000 years ago. They use art as a means of coping with the mental strain that they are constantly put under. The mixing of these curses means that the Blood Angels have an extremely Catholic aesthetic, but love nothing more than to sink the teeth of their chain weapons into their foes, despite their attempts to be noble. Their chapter master is Lord Commander Dante, the oldest active Marine in the Imperium at over 1.5 millennium old. In the current era, he has met both Guilliman of the Ultramarines, who gave him command over the Imperium Nihilus, essentially making him commander of half of the Imperium, and the Lion, who after helping him return to his own sons, has pledged to assist Dante in his ruling over the Imperium Nihilus. The 10th Legion, the Iron Hands. Sons of the Gorgon Ferrus Manus, whose name translates to Iron Hand. Their colors are black with white and silver details. Their symbol is an iron gauntlet. Their homeworld is called Medusa, and it's a pharaoh world that's mostly in the medieval era. Their entire shtick is generational trauma coped with through cybernetics. Ferrus Manus died during the Horus Heresy, as he was decapitated by his closest brother, Fulgrim of the Emperor's Children. After the death of their Primarch, the Iron Hands have not been coping with it well. For the last 10,000 years, they have been almost fanatically replacing their own flesh with cybernetics like the Mechanicus. This similarity in ideals that the flesh is weak has caused them to develop a close relationship, and you can often see Mechanicus representatives working alongside them. Of the 13th Legion, the Ultramarines, the Sons of Ultramar. Their Primarch is Rabute Gilliman, known as the Avenging Sun. The first Primarch to return to the current era, their homeworld is Crag in the subsector of Ultramar, a miniature empire of 500 worlds within the Imperium. Their colors are blue with gold accents, and their symbol is an upside-down Omega symbol. They are known as the Swiss Army knife of the galaxy, good at everything, great at nothing. The Ultramarines have the most successors in the galaxy due to their stable gene seed and high recruitment compatibility rates. This also gives some of them a sense of inflated superiority, and they hold it over their cousins from other legions. The issue is that they care too much about the rules, as their Primarch is the one who wrote the Codex Astartes. Their chapter master is Marnius Calgar, a chapter master with the story as filled with glory as Dante's. Up next we have the 18th Legion, the Salamanders. Into the fires of battle, unto the anvil of war. These are the sons of Vulcan, or the Salamander. From their homeworld of Nocturne, a volcanic death world where the people are hardy. Their colors are green, black, with orange details. Their symbol is the head of a dragon. They are known for their kindness, self-sacrifice, and extreme use of flamethrowers. The Salamanders are the biggest space marines with a mutation that comes as a result of the radiation from their homeworld, meaning that their successors do not have this trait. This mutation causes them to have burning red eyes and coal-black skin, often making them off-putting to regular citizens of the Imperium. However, despite this, they are the most willing to sacrifice for the everyday citizen. They are also one of the few chapters that gets to see their family again after becoming a space marine, a practice that keeps their humanity grounded when so many other marines lose theirs with time. Their Primarch is Perpetual, and his sons are currently looking for all of his relics so that he may return to them one day. They also hate Eldar more than anything in the galaxy. The last Loyalist Legion is the 19th, the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard hail from the Primarch Corvus Corax, whose name translates to Raven Raven. Their colors are black and white with a raven as their symbol. They come from a moon called Deliverance that orbits the planet of Kiovar. They are marines focused on stealth and target elimination. It's hard to talk about the Raven Guard when they are so secretive and stealthy, but I guess that's all the point. They seem to just appear from the shadows themselves sometimes, their stealth capabilities are so good. They're the best assassins within the Adeptus Astartes. Death Watch. The Death Watch are a group of space marines unlike any other chapter. They take one champion or penitent from each chapter across the galaxy and serve to exclusively kill Xenos for the Ordo Xenos of the Inquisition. They investigate anomalies, hunt targets, and basically follow the orders of whatever Inquisitor that squad has been stuck with. This is where most chapters interact with each other. They wear all black, save for maybe a chapter heraldry and a Death Watch pauldron. Grey Knights. The Grey Knights are a part of the Ordo Malleus. They're an all-psyker chapter that specializes in demon hunting. No Grey Knight has ever gone traitor. They wear unpainted silver armor and wield force spears and storm bolters attached to their wrist. I cannot say more, for I would be risking my life in what I have built for myself in the Expanse. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. If you're enjoying my content or coming back to it regularly, please consider subscribing and leaving a like, as it appeases the motive force and gives me the strength to continue my work. I wish you all safe journeys and have a good day.